Rails come, rails go. And sometimes those rails are converted into trails. These trails get utilized for all types of recreation and relaxation. With over 1,600 trails across the nation, you won't need to look far to find one near you.
Oh look, a trail! 100 feet or 100 miles, it doesn't matter how far you go, just that you get out and go.
The East Branch Rail Trail is a backwoods trail in Searsburg, Vermont. Locating this trail is relatively easy. As you're heading on Route 9 West in Searsburg, take a right onto Somerset Road, also known as National Forest 71. Follow this road as it winds slowly through the woods and past the Searsburg Reservoir. At the 2-mile point, you'll see a small parking area on the right with a metal pedestrian bridge spanning the river. This is the head of the trail. The metal bridge crosses over the Deerfield River and sits on the location where Bittlebridge once rested.
As you get across the bridge, you'll notice that straight ahead of you is the trail.
What you may not realize is if you look to your left and your right, you'll see the remnants of an old rail line that followed the Deerfield at this spot.
It was one of the spurs of the East Branch Logging Railroad.
In the early 1900s, the Deerfield River Railroad had numerous rail lines through southern Vermont as part of their logging network, including the East Branch line, which followed the East Branch of the Deerfield River. And while the beginning of this trail is close to the old spur, it doesn't follow it. Rather, it follows a path up the hill.
Even though this first hill is pretty muddy, there are some side routes you can take if you want, such as you see Aries up here following. And as you get to the top of the hill, you will notice the sign, East Branch Trail, Flood Dam Trail. To get to the East Branch Trail, you have to follow an old logging route.
The trail heads up and over the hill, following the old logging road.
Now, if you look this trail up online, some websites will say that it's 5 miles long. And to be quite honest, I'm not sure why that is, because if you measure from the bridge where the trail starts over to where it hooks into the main East Branch line, it's only about half a mile long at most.
The trail then hooks into the Catamount Cross Country Trail, a system that stretches the length of Vermont, some 300 miles.
So just keep that in mind when you start out for the hike for the day. Don't be confused and think, oh, it's only 5 miles, so if I continue a little further, I'll get to the end and be able to turn around. Because before you know it, you're going to end up in Canada.
For the most part, this trail is clear, but there are roots, rocks, and branches to be aware of. There are also a handful of muddy spots.
Yeah, it gets a little muddy in some of these places, but luckily there's usually a little side path you can go up on and then down. Though this little girl doesn't usually mind. Come on. There she goes. Now we're just coming down another twisty, windy hill, and I hear what I believe is the Deerfield River. And it looks almost like there's another bridge up ahead.
At the end of the logging trail, you'll find a second metal bridge. You'll also find more mud.
And you can see it's nice and muddy again. So that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're hiking this trail. You want to wear appropriate foot gear.
After forging through the mud, it's on to the bridge.
This here is the East Branch of the Deerfield River, hence the name of the trail ahead, the East Branch Trail.
On the far side, you'll see a third bridge on the above hill. Before heading on, you may want to take a quick trip down to the river below, especially if you have a four-legged friend with you.
Aries loves to cool off. Now this is kind of neat. Aries is showing us an old remnant of the railroad. It looks like an iron pin coming out of an old beam. To find this, just cross over the second bridge, come down that little muddy trail, and it's right next to the water. You know, I'm always fascinated when there's still remnants left after 100 or more years. It's just really cool. And look up here, just up off of the river, there are some more old remnants. Obviously not very good shape, but you can see some of the old track. And then it's up to the third bridge.
Once you're at the top, you'll be on what was the main line of the Deerfield River Railroad.
And as mentioned before, this is the trail that's part of the Catamount Cross Country Ski Trail.
It provides a great place for walking, running, biking, or cross-country skiing, and snowshoe races like the annual Dion 5K in Reedsboro.
Once you're on the main line of the old railroad, the trail actually opens up quite a bit. It's more of what you'd think a rail trail should be.
It's quite a beautiful trail with its wooded sections, stream crossings, occasional beaver pond, and wildlife.
This is definitely one of the more secluded trails out there, but if you ever get a chance to come and visit it, it's definitely worth checking out.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Rail Trails of America. To keep up to date, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Rail Trails of America, and subscribe to us on YouTube. That one is under youtube.com/IMR Films. That's the studio which produces Rail Trails of America. Thanks and happy trails.